Hey guys, oh my god. So sorry. Unfortunately, we had technical difficulties, yes? So I'm back. Hopefully you guys waited around. I'm so sorry. I don't know what's going on, but maybe it's a lot of things going on YouTube and a lot of people are uploading at the same time. So, in case you guys missed the first broadcast, which I was about 20 minutes in, I was talking about the particular artist I'm going to be, basically the artist that I'm going to be talking about in this particular video, where I'm going to be teaching you guys how to paint a landscape for beginners in acrylics, step by step. Okay, guys? So, if you guys are new around here, I got to give you the spiel all over again, just in case you guys don't see the first video. My name is Danielle, the artist behind Creative Girl of Color, and welcome to my Black History series. Welcome back to my channel. I'm so glad you guys could be here. Happy Sunday. Love and kisses. So I'm featuring the artist Edward Mitchell Bannister, African-American artist, Canadian artist. He is actually one of his paintings, his original paintings from 1882, is hanging in the Smithsonian National Art Museum. So for you guys that are located in the Washington, D.C., Virginia area, DMV pretty much, you can actually visit that. Or if you're in the East Coast, you can actually drive from whatever state you're in and visit it. It will probably be a wonderful thing. And I would say road trip, right? If you like this sort of content, be sure to subscribe and don't forget to hit the notification, right? Don't forget to hit the bell for all notifications. Now, I've already put out my colors. I already did like a quick run through of this painting last night because I wanted to be able to refer to this. This was like my rough draft that I did last night, right? And in the rough draft, I kind of went over it a little bit just to get a feel for the trees and just to see my way through the trees, so to speak, right? Get a feel for everything, how everything is kind of laid out, because I haven't did a landscape in quite a long time. So I wanted to make sure my chops was still polished, you know what I'm saying, right? Now, a lot of the colors are going to be earth colors because of the fact that back then they didn't have access to much synthetic colors. Like I was saying, it was 1882, so I'm quite surprised he even had access to probably primary colors like blues and yellows and things like that. I think the predominant color back then was yellow ochre and alizarin crimson. I think you may have even had like a Venetian red or something like that, which I don't have Venetian red, but I am going to be using somewhat of a burnt sienna and a cadmium red to kind of offset that. So I'm not going to be using any synthetic colors. Synthetic colors meaning hue. Hue is a synthetic color. It is a manufactured color that they just kind of came up with in the 21st century, which that was way after his time on Earth, right? So basically, that's that, right? Now, here's my reference photo. I'm going to put everything down in the description box below. Other than that, I do have other resources down in the description box below for you guys to refer to, like my palette, my different paints that I'm using. I'm using acrylic paint. You can use any acrylic paint you want to use in this particular tutorial. It really doesn't matter, right? And of course, I might even use my handy dandy glazing liquid. Why? Because I love glazing liquid. It is my baby, right? So I may use this for a little bit of blending and stuff like that. I have a variety of different brushes. I'm just using clear water. Or if you don't have access to glazing liquid, you can pretty much use clear water, right? You could just get into the water and keep it moving. Now, this particular photo is also available on Google. If you guys want to use it, you can actually Google it and refer to this. And you can actually use this techniques that I'm going to be showing you in this tutorial to transfer over to any landscape. So any landscape that you want to attempt after this will be great, right? If you guys decide to do this landscape, right? You decide to go ahead and do this, attempt it. I would love to see it. Tag me in it on Instagram at Creative Girls of Color, right? And if I'm loving, okay, I'll be sure to post you guys right up on to my Instagram in my stories. That'd be super exciting. All right, come on, microphone. Microphone want to act crazy. I don't know what's going on. Murphy's Law, right? It's Sunday. Murphy's Law, right? All right, so last night I already prepped my canvas. I did one undercoat of like a regular blue color. I would recommend that you guys use a regular when you deal with the underpainting, which is basically just a regular ground or coat, undercoating. You're not going to even see this, but this is just to cover the white of the canvas, get rid of the white, and to basically to get something down, because acrylics behave a lot better when you have layers, because again, this is not oil. When he was using oils and stuff like that, you can basically do 1 or 2 layers and you're good. But with acrylics, things look a whole lot better when you use many different layers. So I just covered it with I think it was cerulean blue, but you can use any blue you want. It's best to use your underpainting to match whatever is going to go on top. And of course, blues and greens go together. So that's why I chose this blue underpainting. Okay. Now, colors. Let's get into the colors. Colors, right? Now, my colors, again, this is going to be all earth tones and all that jazz, right? Now, I got ultramarine blue. I got diox purple. I got burnt umber. I got burnt sienna, cadmium yellow hue, which I was talking about, cadmium yellow hue. Back in his day, he would probably have used a regular actual cadmium yellow, which is toxic, right? So that's why they don't have much cadmium out there anymore, but it's still a beautiful alternative. So cadmium yellow, light green permanent, which I don't even know, he might not even have had access to this particular color back in the day. But oil paints are so rich and vibrant and beautiful that it could look like a light green permanent. But I like to use light green permanent when I'm dealing with my landscapes, and I'm going to get into these different values, right? And I also have yellow ochre, again, a cadmium red medium. You can use any cadmium red. I'm just using this just to kind of gray out my sky, as well as a Naples yellow, which I think he would have had access to this at that time. And I'm having, I also sprayed my palette down just to keep things wet. You can use any spray bottle that you have access to, right? You just want to give it a quick spritz. You don't want to like wet it down to death, right? But yeah. And I have some lamp black right here on the side. Now, the reason why I have black out, which I wouldn't necessarily use straight out of the tube, but I'm going to use it as a mixing component, because when you are dealing with landscapes, a lot of like a sap green, which is a earthy green that you would use for like leaves and shrubbery and stuff like that. When you're getting into the sap greens, which I'm going to show you in a minute how to mix that. When you get into the sap greens, you're going to see that pretty much the sap green has a lot of black in it. It has black in it, plus maybe a yellow ochre or a cadmium yellow. as well as some ultramarine blue. Now his day, he probably used a French ultramarine, which is a little bit different. It's a richer color. It is a lovely color, right? Now, I have my rag ready to roll. Again, this is an 11 by 14, right? This is an 11 by 14 canvas that I'm using. I have my T-square, which is a ruler that looks like a T, right? And if we study our reference photo, you can see that his horizon line, and the horizon line is basically where the sky meets the land. That's pretty much that. Now, horizon line is probably, it goes to like down into a vanishing point, like down into a hill, right? Now, so I would say it's about 1/3, a little more than 1/3. Your sky pretty much is about a little more than 1/3 down your canvas, and you can transfer this onto any canvas, but you would have to increase the cows if you wanted to do it in any bigger than an 11 by 14 or a 9 by 12. So I recommend you kind of stay in those realms, unless you happen to blow up your reference photo, which is a whole nother thing altogether. Now, I'm gonna get a watercolor pencil, and I'm using a watercolor pencil because, like you do, right? A watercolor pencil is water soluble. And since it is water soluble, it will wash out when it'll actually turn around. I want to get something that's actually going to show up. So a watercolor pencil, which this is just my regular Derwent watercolor pencils. I love my watercolor pencils. Now, this will actually paint. You can actually paint this out when you use it. I'm going to sharpen it, get it a little sharpened here, right? Get it to a point. Why? Okay. So since last night, now this is going to be part 1. I'm going to break this up into parts because I don't want this to be like an extremely long video. It's because it can get into, as I was doing the demo last night, I realized it can get into like 3, 4, 5 hours. You can spend quite a long time, as much time as you can on a landscape, depending on how realistic you want it to be. So I'm not going to drag it out. I'm going to pretty much put it where it's going to be so this is going to be part 1. The rest of it I'm going to actually put up in next week, Tuesday. So I'm going to go a little bit lower, right? Bring my canvas down a little bit. I'm going to go a little bit lower than the third. Now, the further up you put your horizon line, the further things will seem away, right? Hopefully that makes sense. So as you can see, I kind of outlined it to give me a guideline as to where my sky is going to end and my land will begin. Okay, so we got that in, right? I put my life out on the edge. Okay, now I want to outline. It has a road that seems to be leading away. Now, the key to the roads, when you want to do a road, right? As you can see, you can't really see the end of the back of this road right here, right? Since I can't really see that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap it around. Now, the key to that is you want to make this part in the back of the road here. You want to make this very small, very tiny, thin lines. And then you would bring it around, right? Let me show you a quick example, if I can. Quick example on my chalkboard. So, I got my regular pencil here. What you would do is when you're having a road, you basically, you want it to wrap around, and you're going to do like a S pattern, right? Like that. So that's basically how that would look, right? Now, back here, in order to make it really small, you would go here. Like, you can barely see that. And as you go out, that's when you get a lot larger. You feel what I'm saying? So you can think of it like a wrench, right? Or even like a hammer. Or like a beak, you know what I mean? Like, you know, like a flamingo beak. It gets really thin at the bottom. And it goes around. And that's the head. And then you have it thinner at the bottom again, right? So that's how, pretty much how that would be. If you want to do your road. So that's how you would really think about it. And this is pretty much for the newbies. That's why I'm pointing that out. I mean, if you're more advanced, you pretty much know that already. So that's pretty much how I'm going to do that. And I can always alter it as I see fit later on. Now, I'm just going to do my outline because that's why I'm doing that right there. So I know where to go. Now this can be really rough. And over here, the road kind of cuts in, right? And then it loops out, really cutting in there, looping out. So I'm just kind of giving myself a guideline on where I think things should actually be. Yeah? And this is rough, very rough. Only right here. Again, all of this is going to be painted out. So I wouldn't even worry about it for real. Because all of that is going to be painted out, darling. So I definitely would not worry about that. I know you guys are getting a lot of glare. Sorry about that. Let me lift it up a little bit so you can see what I'm talking about. So as you can see, I have my horizon line kind of pinpointed out. You want to do like a rough draft so you know where things are going. You know where. I'm not going to put in any detail, any trees or anything. I'm going to actually paint those in, or you can draw them in once you get all your greenery down, your grass, your sky, all that other stuff, right? And it's pretty much going to line up the same way like that. I put my life on. I gotta sing to myself. I gotta sing. Alright, so I pretty much have my outline because the cows are pretty much going to be here. You kind of want to lay everything out to know where you need to be. And let me get my brushes out. And I'm going to have such a variety of brushes. I hope you guys are ready. Okay, so I have my cat's tongue, which I absolutely love. This is by the Art Sherpa, just in case you guys don't know. And I have both of her brushes. These are basically for acrylic. I'm not using that one. That's for oil. And you can have different brushes for acrylic versus oil versus watercolor. And these are my acrylic brushes. I have a very thin detail brush. It's a number 0. I have some rounds. I have some flats. I have a bristle brush for grass. I have a blender brush for trees and clouds. Yeah. I put my life on. And I'm getting out more brushes and more brushes. Ooh, I forgot I had this. I think I'm going to try this out because I recently bought this brush and I absolutely love it. It's like really pretty. It's basically a fan brush, something you would use like on Bob Ross. You find this on Bob Ross, yeah? And I put, ooh. So I could use either one of these, really. I think I might actually go with this one so I can cover more area. Now you want to use the brush that actually goes with your project. And I'm actually using a palette knife to mix my colors. And I think I'm going to use my new fan brush. This is Stiff Filaments, right? The brush is like a stiff filament. So I really love that. Okay. So I'm going to try that out. Now think about it. Like back in the day, it was like absolutely awesome, right? For somebody. Oh, I'm also going to be using titanium white. I forgot to tell you about that, guys. It was absolutely awesome for especially African Americans to be able to even paint, like to be able to even have that sort of freedom to do that. And I'm put out quite a bit of white because I want to have access to a lot of white. And I got my water here. I got my water. To even be able to do something like that, you know what I'm saying? I'm mixing ultramarine blue, a little bit of white. Mix those colors together. I want this to be kind of real light. So it's going to be mostly white. A little bit of ultramarine and a little bit of cadmium red to kind of gray that blue out. And when I say gray it out, I mean it's going to kind of want to turn it purple. Like on the verge of turning it purple without turning it purple. Right? Because I want this to be quite light. Light and bright. But I'm still going to do the gradient where it's going to be a darker blue at the top and a lighter blue at the bottom. Right? So we definitely want that. So yeah, you know, it was quite a privilege back in the day to be able to do that. To have access to paints. To have the freedom to be able to paint freely without someone dictating or harassing. Also, keep some paper towels or some sort of rag near your table so you can wipe off your utensils as you go. That was like considered to be really a privilege to be able to do something like that. You know what I mean, guys? Let me move this. Without me having to reach over here. I put my life on. So I'm going to load up my brush. Pretty much on both sides. As you can see. Yeah. And I'm actually going to go right up across. I'm going to go in horizontal strokes. I'm going to make it lighter at the bottom. Remember where your horizon line is. Remember where you put your original. If you feel like your brush is starting to drag, go ahead and add a little bit of water to it. And that will help you out. So remember where you put your little line at to keep on track on where you're at. I put a little bit of water on my brush. Now it doesn't matter, like it's not that serious, like don't have a cow about it. If you're not able to keep up, like, you know, if you're not able to maintain your horizon line, because we're going to cover most of this sky up. Most of this sky is going to be gone, my friends. Yeah. I'm adding a little more white. You can paint the sides of your painting later. And there you go. So your sky is pretty much done at this point. The great thing about acrylics is that you can actually paint on top quite easily. You can cover up anything pretty much with acrylics, which is always great. That pretty much gave me an even tone. You want it to be kind of smooth and even. You don't really need a lot of texture or any of that stuff. Like, you really don't. I think I'm gonna, for these type of canvases, I think I'm gonna move over to the easel next time I do this, guys. I'm gonna move over to the easel to make it a lot. Alright, now, that's gonna take some time to dry. He actually has some clouds in there also. But I'm not gonna put that in. You want this stuff to dry first, and then you can actually put in your clouds. That's what you can do. Alright, now, you never want acrylic paint to dry on your brush. So I'm gonna grab I'm actually gonna grab my rag and I'm going to I'm gonna wipe this excess paint off my brush, and then I'm gonna wash off the paint. I'm probably gonna be going at this probably about an hour. I put my life on the edge. Goodbye. All right, now let's start on the hilly part because it's a hill. As you can see in our reference, there is a hill right here, right? And with there being a hill right there, I'm going to go ahead and get some of that in there, right? You want to get that hill in. I'm going to leave my reference picture up so I can refer to it. And we're going to try to get it as close as we can get it. As close as we going to get it. Now, I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to be putting in like 20, 30 cows. That's not going to happen, okay? Because he had quite a few cows in there. Now, it is okay to kind of take some things out of a reference photo. You don't have to do everything verbatim and kind of put your own twist on it. So, I'm not going to do that. But I still want to remain true to his original landscape painting. You see what I'm saying? Now, to mix up my green, let's get into that. If I can find my palette knife, we can. Ooh. And of course, I stuck my hand all up in it. All up in it. Alright. Of course I did. And to mix my greens, I want a green that's going to make it seem like it's further away. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get of course I'm getting paint all on my hand.
What are you doing?
Of course I'm getting paint all on my hand. So I'm going to get into my blue here. Yeah. That's why I mixed two different batches because we need a lot of blue for this session. And I'm going to get some yellow ochre. That's why I have all the different yellows. Because the yellow ochre is going to give me a muted green. A muted green. You need a muted green because you want to be able to create distance. So I'm going to put yellow ochre. Mix quite a bit of yellow ochre and that's going to give me like an olivey green, a muted green, right? And I'm going to mix a little bit of, like, if you could even see that, like, that's very little, very little. Bit of black. Not even a lot. Just to kind of darken that. Just kind of darken my green up. But I don't want it to be too dark, right? So I wanted to do like an olive green. There's so many different types of green, you guys. So really think about your color theory. Alright, so I think that's kind of good. It gives you like an olivey green. So I'm kind of feeling that. Even though it does look black, but it's not. Okay. Let me just keep some different brushes in my hand so I don't have to keep reaching around. Okay, now I'm using my handy dandy cat's tongue. And I want to kind of create the little hill that is there. In the background. And the hill, we know that goes at an angle. That's pretty much what I'm going to do. Now the yellow ochre is pretty much going to cause our, even though my horizon line is kind of straight, none of that really matters because I'm actually going to go over this horizon line. Now you see that gives you like an olivey green. And I'm actually going to bring this value all the way over here. That's what I'm going to do. Yep. And now before this dries, I would recommend that you guys take some time. And I'm going to actually bring this all the way down. But I'm not going to get it into my road, though. Because remember, we got to put our road in. And this is all ultramarine blue and yellow ochre. I put my life out on it. And you see how that gives you a muted kind of green going on. Don't worry about adding any details at this point. We just block. This is the blocking in stage. This is the ugly stage. This is where things will get ugly before they get good. Okay? Like, it's not that serious. So take your time. Be good to yourself with this. It's not that, it's not that hard of a thing. But it does have a process to it. So I'm just kind of smoothing things out. Again, this is acrylic, so you can always go over things. But I'm still making sure that I'm paying attention to where things are. Right? So I made this kind of flat because the hill is kind of flat. Right? Now, I'm not going to bring that value all the way down. Why? Because I don't want to bring that value all the way down. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to smooth this bad boy out. Hey guys, if you just joined me, introduce yourself in the comments. Let me know where you're hailing from, what type of content you would like to see going forward for me. And welcome. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to smooth out. I'm going to go run my brush. This is a blending brush. And I'm going to run it right up over that horizon line where the sky and the land meets. Because I want to kind of create that fuzziness over my horizon. Now remember, this is the ugly stage. Things don't look good in the ugly stage. Why? Because it's ugly. Because it's ugly. So this is not where things look actually good at. but I mean, believe it or not, a lot of people give up in this stage because they're like, oh my god, this looks hideous. This looks absolutely ugly. I don't like it. But no, this is not where you give up. There's no quitters. I mean, you know the saying. There's no quitters or crying in art. You got to keep going to get where you need to get. So anyway, I kind of fuzz out that line. And as you can see, right? Because, let me get some of the glare off. As I fuzzed out that line gave me like a depth and hazy, right? And that's kind of what we want when we're dealing with this. I put my life on it. All right, now I'm going to get into a different color. I'm going to get into some straight up greens here. This is a regular green. Ultramarine blue. Straight up cadmium yellow. Equal parts. Right? Equal parts will give me what I want. Well, it won't. Because right here, as I look at my horizon, as I look at my reference photo, right? Right here seems to be a flat patch of grass. So I'm not even actually putting in any details of grass right now. I'm just kind of blocking things in. That's where we're at this point, in the blocking in stage. Remember, this is straight up cadmium yellow. You want to put your brush in the stroke in the direction you want it to go, right? Move this up a little bit. A little bit. Okay, so you basically want to put that in the direction that your brush, your landscape needs to go. That's regular green right there. And I'm still kind of fuzzing out that line because acrylics tends to get a hard line, and I don't want that. So that's a different green altogether. Same thing over across the way, because it's a little hill across the way. We have some regular flat patch of, and I'm being mindful not to cover up my road, right? Because I don't want to cover up my road. We have a little hill piece that goes right here, so I'm filling this in with regular green. And I'm actually bringing that down a little further. Here's my regular green. Remember, we letting our sky dry, so this is a perfect time. Perfect timing. Perfect timing. And I can't forget, I want to add a little bit of black to it. Because that little bit of black will kind of gray that out, too. We got a little bit of black I'm adding to that mixture, and I'm kind of going to go over it again. That little bit of black to it gives it a little bit of kick, right? Makes life a whole lot easier. And let me kind of zoom in too, because I know it's lots of glare, but okay. I'm holding these different brushes. Now, if your brush is starting to drag, get a little bit of water and keep it moving. Now, I put that there because that's going to give me... You want to make green darker, or do you just add more blue? You want to make it lighter, add more yellow. So that's what I just did right there. I'm adding more blue because this is still further away. So I don't want it to be super yellow and super saturated. Right now it's really streaky, but that doesn't matter. right? That does not matter because all this stuff is going to be covered up because we're still in the ugly stage. We're in the ugly stages of it all. Zoomed you back out. All right, now. We have quite a dark bit, right? Now there's a dark bit where the trees are kind of hovering over. Let me show you really quickly. The trees are kind of hovering over right here. So this is going to be all covered in shadow, all darkness. So I'm going to add a lot of brown. This is going to be like a dark green, brown, weird, dirty, yeah? So that's burnt sienna, burnt umber. I'm going to get a hint of that and that green in there. Because you still got to have a little bit of green in there. Can't be totally brown. You got to have a little. The key to good grass is variation pretty much. But this is kind of like going up a hill. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sweep. Sweep. Give it a good sweep. You're going to go up and swoop. Up and swoop. Yeah? Up and swoop. That's what we're doing at this point. Up and swoop. So this is going to be a darker value right here. Darker value all together. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. This is going to be a darker value because it's covered by trees. A lot of this is dead. There's no sun in according to the reference picture.
Yeah, what do you want? What do you want? Yeah, like this. I'll call you when you're ready.
I put my life out on the edge. Do. So I'm just adding in my dark bits. I'm adding in bits as I see it. Yeah. You can always go in and do something different if you feel you need to. But yeah, this is crazy. I should have put this on the easel. I really should have. I should have put it on the easel. Do. That's a song, right? All right, now the rest of this is going to be a brighter green. Now, as you see, right, as we come forward in the landscape, you're going to see that towards the back, I have yellow ochre, which is creating the distance, right? Because we need that distance back there, right? And then as I come forward, I'm going to saturate it more and more with more bolder, richer colors like cadmium yellows, blacks, browns, etc., right? And then I'm also going to have some variation in there. You should have variations in grass. That's very important to the health of the grass, yeah? So I'm going to put my variation in. And I'm going to also put some variation over here. This is just straight up burnt sienna. Just to give me some different variations in my grass. And you can see that in real life that there's going to be different variations of grass. It doesn't matter whether it's in the reference picture or not. You know, this is just straight up order of operations pretty much. But as I come forward, that's when I'm going to get darker and brighter and more saturated as I come forward. That's how things work. It's called Atmospheric Perspective. Yay! I finally got it. I finally figured out how to say it. Atmospheric Perspective. That's what it's called, okay? Now, that's what's going to give you the distance and all that jazz. Yeah? Yes, yes, and yes. I put my life out on the edge. Doo-doo. Okay, now, I got too excited about that, so I started singing. Cadmium yellow, right? With a little bit of light green permanent. If you don't know what that is this stuff. It is very light and bright, right? That's what light green permanent looks like. It looks like it sounds very light and bright. Again, remember what I said. As I start to come forward, I'm going to add more light and bright colors. It's going to get lighter. It's going to be less blue. Less blue. Less blue, more yellows. And that's what I'm doing right here. Now, here is where I'm putting my yellows. Alright. I'm actually going to add a little more yellow. Because this is actually really yellow right here. This whole hill. And this is, I'm actually doing a swoop motion up here too. To signify that there's a little bit of a slope right there. Okay? That's what we're doing. I put my life on the edge. Because when you look at the reference photo, yeah? When you look at the reference, and remember, we want to keep our road there. So I'm still being mindful to keep my road. Now I'm just adding some straight up yellow right here. Because I need this to be really light and bright. Because there's a lot of light emanating from this area because it's not being covered by the trees. Right? That's the, you know, that is the reason why I'm putting so much light and bright right there. Like a lot of yellows. Because I need that to be really light and bright. Same thing on the other side. Whatever you do on one side, you should definitely try to do on the other. Colors. Because this side right here, right? Definitely is really light. Because, again, it's not covered by the trees. That's why we're putting that there. Move it up a little bit. Not covered by the trees. So, that's why I'm just putting... And remember, I'm just using straight up brush strokes at this point. Still leaving my road accessible. Alright? Access to the road. Access. You got some access. Right? So I'm going to leave this a little bit light. Now, doesn't mean that I'm not going to go lighter with this. But still having some variation. Because, why? When I actually put highlights and whatever on top of this, I'm going to be able to see kind of that darker tone underneath of there. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Now I'm going back into my dark value. Because I actually want to fill in the rest of this road here. I mean, fill in the rest of this grass. And again, remember what we said. We still have variation. We still are going to have lots of variation. Without grass. I'm no longer using yellow ochre. It's just straight up Straight up going to town here. Straight up blacks, yellow ochres, light green permanents, and stuff like that. That's what that is about. I feel my life out on the edge. Okay, but back here, right, near our hill, this is going to be a darker value. So, what did I do? I just added, since that's going to be a darker value, I'm going to just cover most of the white on here. And this doesn't need to be perfect, not at this point, because we're just blocking things in. Like, it's really not like that serious where we got to go crazy with it. You know what I'm saying? I put my life on. Oh, Lord. Lordy, Lordy. Okay, I'm still ticking on this side. Okay. I think we have a little delay on this other part. That's what it is. Okay. I knew I wasn't bugging out. Because I'm looking at my screen, and my screen was telling me something different. Like we had stopped recording for a minute. I'm just reinforcing this dark right here. That's all I'm doing. Because all of that is going to be in shadow. I put my life out on the edge. Looking good, though. It's looking good. But I want you guys below, right? I want you kind of to tell me, like, do you like this sort of content? Are you enjoying, like, landscapes? Or do you like just the portraits? Or, you know, give me your feedback. Let me know. Inquiring minds would love to know. Let me know. Alright, I'm actually going to tap in my road at this point. See, now, you see how our road is still highlighted. I didn't paint over the road. I didn't do any of that. I'm going to wipe off my brush, and then I'm going to wash it out. Okay, we're making good time here. Good time, peeps. Good time. Alright, now there's kind of like some dark spots in the back here. I put my life on. There's kind of some dark spots in the back where I put the yellow ochre. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of burnt umber to that, which is going to beef it up and make my value a little darker, which is okay with me, while adding a little more yellow ochre. I don't know. See, now this area right here seems to have some sort of dark spot in it, so I'm gonna put that in there as I see fit. Yeah, and again, you know, put a little bit up here too. Again, greens are gonna have these different variations in it. It just is. It's just the way it goes. That's the way the cookie crumbles. Yeah. Now, he probably did a lot of this work while on location, while looking at different things. He probably did quite a lot of work in that aspect from life, because that's how people painted back then. They did a lot of things from life. Like you was actually I just want to make sure my Wi-Fi is on. You would actually go and you would I'm not quite sure what is going on. You would stand out there. Now from his vantage point, he's probably looking down. He's looking down. He's probably somewhere here, looking down, looking out at the horizon line, looking out at, because there's actually a person standing in the field herding the cows, right? And I'm not gonna paint that person in, not for this particular tutorial, but I am gonna add majority of every aspect in there, so that's not something you guys would ever have to worry about. But a person was definitely in there, right? Now, I got my dark right about there. And I'm gonna block in. I wiped off my brush. And I'm washing out my brush because I need to get a different value. So yeah, a lot of people painted from life back then. Like, it was much harder. You didn't have reference photos or any of that stuff. You didn't have cameras. You didn't have cell phones. Like, things were so much harder. Plus to have to deal with, crazy people and racist and stuff like that. Like, it must have been really difficult on him to even have to deal with something like that. Now I'm just going on top and kind of glazing that little bit in. That's what I'm doing. I put my life on you. Come on, YouTube. YouTube is having technical difficulties and delays today, baby. Because not my phone. I'm up and running and ready to roll. I'm not having any issues. Hopefully you guys are seeing the broadcast properly on your side. If not, I am so sorry. Okay, so I'm going to block in my... my road using my angle brush. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to black it in. And we're an hour in, baby. So we're making pretty good time, I think. I'm going to get some straight yellow ochre. Hopefully you know what that looks like. Straight up yellow ochre. And a little bit of burnt sienna. With a hint of white. I don't want too much white because I don't need this to be too light and bright at this point. So I don't need a lot of white. Just a little bit. Little bit. Yeah, we definitely having a delay. Okay, so I'm going to take my angle brush. Angle brushes are wonderful for doing these type of things. And remember what we said. Right here, towards the back, is going to be very thin. Like, you're going to barely be able to see that. And as you go out more, it's going to get wider and wider and wider. Yeah? That's pretty much what it is. And then it has like a little diamond shape. Like a diamond in the rough. And then it goes straight up. I can't really see myself. And I'm using yellow ochre because it gives you like a good muted color. Might as well put it in. I'm going to actually add a little bit of burnt umber to it too. Because that's really going to gray it down. It's really going to gray it down. And remember, as acrylics dry, they get darker. Just continuing down with my road. The yellow brick road. In this case, the dirt road. Because this was like a dirt road back in the day. Yeah? Because most roads were made up of dirt. In certain parts of the country, especially America, the roads are still made up of dirt. Dirt roads. You can find one or two dirt roads somewhere, yeah? That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. I put my life out on the edge of... And I'm gonna add some little burnt umber towards the back here. Because it's gonna be darker towards the back anyway. So I might as well do it. That's gonna give it the illusion of... Yeah? It's gonna give you the definite illusion. Alright, so we got our road in. Now let's kind of jump around and work on the clouds. Work it out. Because this stuff has to dry. You could also take a blow dry and blow dry it really quickly if you wanted to. Now, I'm going to use, you can use any brush you choose to use. You can use a round brush, a blender brush, a cloud brush, you know. You can use any brush you choose to use. But in my case, I'm going to use my handy dandy blender brush to get me some clouds going. And in this case, right, I'm going to use some of that sky mixture with mostly white. But I don't want it to be stark white. I want it to have a little bit of whatever, because we want to get some clouds in, right? See, most of this is dry on this side, but not everything is dry. So let me bring it down so you can see. Because he had a cloud like right here. So I'm just making some random. And you can make clouds any way you want to. Don't ever let people tell you you can, you got to make clouds a certain way. If you don't make clouds a certain way. But I mean, I would suggest, you have variations because cloud has variation. Right? That's the only thing I would suggest is that you have variation in your cloud. So as you can see, I kind of made like um, a little variating cloud right here. I made like a little shape, and I'm going in a circular motion, and I'm just getting something down with like a random shape. Now I'm just putting this down for now, right? If you're using craft paint or something like that, you are eventually gonna have to you're gonna end up reinforcing that because um that stuff, it takes layers, and some of the paint is really thin, so it's going to take a while to kind of build up to where you need to be. Now a lot of this stuff is going to be covered up by the trees, so I wouldn't worry yourself to death about like how things are going to look, how is my clouds going to be, is everything going to be like proper, da 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 da. I wouldn't worry about those sort of things. See, I'm just getting like some random fluffs, right? In my, again, this is gonna look crazy before it looks good. It's gonna look crazy before it looks good, right? I put my life out on the edge. All right. So don't think about it. Just go in, have fun with it. Swirl get your swirl on, yeah. I'm gonna get like some little random shapes here. And then we're going to just put our shadows in. Now, mind you, again, like I said, you're not going to see this because there's a lot of this is going to be covered by trees. So I wouldn't even have a breakdown about getting like tons and tons of clouds in there. I really wouldn't. I wouldn't worry about it too much. There's no right or wrong way to put a cloud in. That's what I say. That's what I say. No right and wrong ways in this tutorial to put a cloud in. But you should have a shadow, of course, a highlight, and a midtone with the clouds to make them look at least a little more realistic. You know what I'm saying? So now I'm gonna add a little shadow. How I'm gonna do that? Um, no, no. How I'm gonna do that is I'm gonna mix a little bit of purple and like a muted purple to kind of give me my tone that I need, which purple is red and blue. In my case, I'm using a cadmium red and a ultramarine blue. And because I kind of want, and you want a little more blue than red, because you want it to be purple, right? So, and I'm going to get a hint of black just to kind of gray it down some more. I put my life out on the edge. Woo! And we getting somewhere, guys, yeah? Now, Let me move this over a little bit. And I move it down so you can see my clouds. See how we got a little bit of shadow going here. Now he probably had a whole different other set of colors to use for his shadow because he was using an oil paint. But I mean, you got to do what you got to do, right? The ancestors will forgive us, hopefully. And that's how you put your shadow in when you're dealing with a shadow. Again, I used a little bit of black, white, and I mixed a little bit of a purple color. And now I'm getting like straight up white in this case. And I'm kind of dabbing that on. Now I'm putting the straight up white in the areas I feel like I want the straight up white to be. You feel what I'm saying? Again, you're not going to see a lot of this because it's going to be covered by a lot of the trees. So I don't want you to get like all like neurotic about the clouds. We can talk about clouds on a different day. But today is not that day. Today is not that day, baby. Alrighty. Now, I got the top of that. I've wiped off my brush. Now I'm going in and I'm tap, tap, tap. And you see how you have that perfect kind of like white peak fluff at the top? That's kind of what we want. That's kind of what we're looking for when we think about things. And this blender brush is great because it will just go right into there and blend that all together. Soften out my edges because you know. Horrible acrylics are known for hard edges. Now on when he was using the oils back in the day, oils are beautiful, right? And since they're so beautiful, right? You have an easier time dealing with oils, and they're very luminescent. They make things look realistic type of thing. Wow, do, do, do. Now you can blend these. You can spend hours, and I do mean hours, on clouds. And like, yeah, I mean, there's some people who are, I would say, straight up experts. Excuse me. And of course, you're going to hear the wonderful sounds of children doing bad things in the background. There's some people that are like straight up experts with this cloud business. You know what I'm saying? Like that's their thing. That's their jam. To mess around with the clouds and fluff them up and spend 50 hours playing around with clouds, right? I mean, if you get into like hyperrealism realm, surrealism realm, you can get cotton candy clouds and have all types of activities going on when you're dealing with clouds. You can really get into it, right? But not today. We're not doing that because you're not even going to be able to see it. So even if I wanted to put like 50 hours into the clouds, I'm not going to be able to because you're not going to enjoy that because a lot of this stuff is going to be covered up. That's just the way it is, right? You are not going to see it, darling. You're just not. Again, we're still in the hot mess stage. So buckle in. I'm kind of bringing this cloud formation. Get in formation. I'm bringing that down. Right? Into my horizon. I put my life on it. I get a lot of questions a lot of time about how I make things look realistic. You know, things of that nature and all that jazz, right? And I'm like, yeah, you know, I practiced. I put in a lot of work, a lot of hours, many sleepless nights, and things like that, right? And you know, I really put in the work to make sure that things look well, and it's all about layers and time and energy. You know, take your time. It's not a marathon. And this is supposed to be relaxing, guys. Remember that. At the end of the day, painting is a relaxing activity that is made to bring magic to the world and to share, right? So it's not something where it should be like super stressful, where you're like having a breakdown and you're worrying about it, right? So no matter how things look or what outcome you get, you know, your goal is to pretty much have fun with that and figure it out from there pretty much. Yeah? Anybody agree? Okay, so that's that. Let's get into the highlights and the grassy bits. Into the grassy bits. I put my life on the edge. Right? So now that we got into the grass and the grassy bits, yeah? Now I'm going to think about how things are looking, right? So I got a regular bristle brush. You can get any brush that has like these little frayed, whatchamacallits. And I actually have a, I don't even know what that brush is called. Now that I think about it. I don't know. I don't remember what that brush is called. It's weird. But I think you can use any brush, really. I think I even have like one of these brushes also. It's a fan brush, but it's like a small, thin, bristle brush fan brush that I have here. But yeah. Anyway, so I wet my bristle brush. I sprayed out my splayed out my bristles, and I'm gonna get into it, right? I'm gonna get into a little yellow ochre. I pretty much dried off all the moisture out of this. I pretty much dried off all the moisture in my bristle brush because it holds a lot of water and a lot of moisture. So nobody wants that, right? I put my life out on it. I'm gonna get into some full-blown yellow ochre. With a little bit of my blue color just to kind of green it up. But I want this to be a lighter version than what I already have down. So I'm going to go 2 or 3 values lighter. And I'm going to start on this back hill. With that being said, right? I'm going to start on this back hill. And I'm going to do quite a bit of a tapping kind of motion. Because for some reason this has like a little, of course, I mean, you're coming over the hill. And as you come over that hill, you're going to have, and this is going to get darker, so don't get afraid. Now I'm tapping to give it the illusion of grass. And then I'm actually going to come down. Now right about here, you don't want it to be the same lightness. So what I'm going to do is kind of darken it down a little bit. But still keeping it, you know, light, tight, and whatever. And we're starting to kind of tap in our grass. That's what we're doing. We're tapping in our grass, and in this case, I'm just taking my brush, kind of going that way. Right? So we're all tapped in. I'm actually gonna get in a little tapping over here too. Now this you're not even gonna see really. So I wouldn't even worry about that part right there. But there is like a little bit. This is kind of dry a little bit though. I'm actually gonna go ahead and kind of put that in already. I put my life out on the edge. And that's really dark back there.
Put that back over there. Put that back. Put it back over there.
Why? I'm actually going to add a little bit black also. Because I need that to be really dark. Not real dark, but dark enough. Dark enough, baby. Because it's like a little bush back here. I don't know. I don't quite know what that is. But I'm going to put it in there now. So I'm going to go tap, tap, tap in different directions to kind of signify that there is like a bushy, weird area right there, right? And I will kind of go in at another time. Because remember, this is all like bushy area right here towards the back. So I'm going to actually tap this in now. And really, this whole side right here, you can't even see that. So I'm just kind of getting some stuff tapped in. You can't see this at all, right? Now, as you step back from your painting, you will see that this is starting to signify some sort of tree area. Trees and shrubberies. Trees and shrubberies. Alright, now here, it's supposed to be kind of dark. So I'm going to put a little bit of dark right there. I don't want a lot of dark. I'm going to put a little bit. Because this is supposed to be kind of dark. So I'm put it in where you see it, right? And I just used burnt umber. I didn't want to use something too dark back there to kind of confuse the situation. And since I already had burnt umber and yellow ochre kind of on my palette. I mean, on my, what's the name? And you can kind of mix things up too. If you don't have this sort of brush, you can utilize any brush you want to use, as well as you could even use a sponge if you really wanted to get, you know. Now here I'm just tapping, tap, 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 tap it, tap it. This tends to go here, right? And then up. Here and then up. Here and then up. It's best to get this in now, right? This is why I should have put my thing on the easel, so that this thing is not going to be shaking like that. I put my life on you. I'm going to tap this other side too. If you use a little bit of black and I'm actually going to tap in this other side, so hopefully you can see it. If you use a little bit of black, see, this is actually going up a hill. Now, let me get some regular yellow. Just cadmium yellow. So I can tap, tap, tap. Tap some stuff in here. I put my life on you. This tapping motion. Alright. I'm gonna actually change this brush out. I feel like I need a different brush. This is not giving me kind of the texture that I need and want. And we're going into the 2 hours. 2 hour mark. I put my life out on the edge. Alright, so now I'm going to get my little bristle brush, my little fan brush, because I'm not feeling that. And that's going to give me my little, See, it gives you like a scrapey type of feel. That's what it gives you. That's what it gives you. See, you get like you get kind of like the grassy. The grassy feel of it all. That's gonna give me, and this is a fan brush, so it's gonna kind of give me that texture that I'm looking for. That's what it's giving me, peeps. Giving me. Because that seems like it has a little bit of a yellow back there, a little bit of yellow hue. Now, I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And of course, I'm still spraying. Spray, spray, spray. And I'm getting some good texture right here. I put my life out on you. This is actually a little greener over here. Now that I think about it. It's a little greener. The grass is greener on the other side. And in this case, that is actually true. About the grass being greener. You see I'm getting a little bit of texture here, which is absolutely great. And I'm kind of swinging that around to the other side, and I'm still getting kind of the texture that I'm looking for, right? The temperature right. Woo woo. Wow. Alrighty then. Alright, so it's looking kind of good. I got a little bit of texture in there. I'm feeling that. Feeling the vibes of the texture. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to add the same thing. Kind of like the grassy bits. Testing out my new my new fan brush. And we're probably going to go for another 30, probably 30 minutes. And then I'm going to come back on next week. Alright, now let's try out. I need a value for here. And even though this is a little darker than, you know, we would like it to be. Okay, so that seems a little better. I'm just going to test the strokes here. You want to stroke upward. Sorry if I'm blocking your view, but I'm stroking in the direction of the hill. I'm stroking. If you feel like you did too much, you could always, you know, fix that and put it back the way, whatever way you see fit. You can always put things back whatever way you see fit. This is straight burnt sienna at this point, because I seen there was a lot of that in here. As this, it seems a little bit red now, but as this dries, you know, it's not gonna be as pronounced, pretty much. See, I kind of like swung that upward a little bit. Yeah. Same thing. Well, this is more dark though. It's very dark over here. Very dark. But you play around with it, you know. Whatever you're comfortable with, go ahead and do that. It's looking fuller, guys. It's looking fuller. All right. I'm wiping off my brush. Wiping off my brush. My wee laddie brush, yeah. Getting some, now I want some straight up green. So I'm getting some light green permanent, ultramarine blue, cadmium yellow. And of course a little bit of black. You gotta have some black in there somewhere. This is a darker green back there, so with this being a darker green, I am going to put a little bit of burnt umber in there, just darken that green up. Because remember what we said, ooh, that's dark, baby. Right? That's real dark. I don't think we wasn't prepared for that. How dark that was gonna get. We really wasn't. I know I wasn't. I put my life on it. And it's always good to have variation in your stuff. Like this one is really dark right here. It's just really dark. It just really is. Like, you know, there's really no getting away from that. This is really dark. You can have different variation in stroke and, you know. Now that we've done that, let me go ahead. We're kind of getting full here. We're looking like we're having some variation. The more layers you add, the better off it'll be, right? So right here seem to be really like super saturated. So seem to be like super saturated. Now, actually, this would be a good time for you guys to change out your water. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to do that right now. But if you can, change out your water. Change out your water. Alright, now I'm getting some cadmium, straight up cadmium yellow. I know it's a lot of greens to kind of decipher between. I know. But I want more with like a yellow green. So I'm going to go straight up yellow, yellow, yellow. And I'm actually, you know what? I'm just going to do that. Yellow with a very little bit of blue. Right? And then I'm going to actually tap that in. We're going to tap that in. So this is all kind of light and bright back here. Let me hold fast. This is still kind of wet. And then I'm going to actually take my time and kind of tap this in. Tapping that in kind of signifies grass, yeah? And this is all really light over here. So that's why I'm tapping that in like that. And of course, I'm adding some white now. Yellow and white. I want to make sure you blend that though. That would be nice, right? To blend it properly. And just add different variations of it. Like, you know. I'm actually putting some of that tap those things in. Tap it in. Right? I'm actually going to drag that value over. Drag it over, peeps. See how that gives me the illusion that is actual light, luminescent light Plus, I'm going to add some dark under here because this, I actually should have made this a little bit darker over here. Remember what I was saying, as you go more forward, you're going to get more light, more saturations of things. So some areas are going to be really, really light, really, really dark, da-da-da. You can actually tap some of that dark in here right now. Like, you don't even have to wait. Just tap it in. That's what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to tap some of that in. And I'm actually going to add a little right here to the ends. Just to give the illusion like this is coming down from the earth. Yeah? Because that should actually be a little darker than it is. See? So I'm going to add in some dark. Just to kind of give it some... And go in different directions, you know? Because even though I'm not actually looking at the reference photo right now, that's how all things are going to be. All grass is going to be. I'm actually adding some of that dark value over there because I don't even need that patch of grass. Right? And tap in a little bit right here because back here kind of has... But of course, this is going to be a darker grassy area. Yeah? So we're getting there, guys. I know it's like a long process, but we're getting there. We are getting there. Alright. I'm kind of going to do the same thing right over here. And that's kind of too much going on. So I'm going to wipe off some of it. Oops, sorry, guys. Up here in the photo had a lot of light too. Like it was a lot going on up there. So I'm kind of again, this stuff gets dry. I mean, as it dries, it will get darker. So I wouldn't really worry about it. So don't feel like, oh my God, don't start panicking when you feel like things are a little lighter than you wanted them to be. You know what I'm saying? Don't start panicking, baby. Alright, so you want to look at your reference photo and you want to figure out where what are the light bits, what are the dark bits. Like I know there's a little bit right here. So that's a light green permanent. I kind of tapped in. Yeah. That's a light green permanent, which gives it a pretty nice hue. Pretty nice, pretty beautiful. And I'm actually going to tap a little bit more in here too as well. Because it actually, and there's several ways you could put this grass in. I'm just showing you my way right now. Like, you know, what I do when I use the grass. So just smooth this out a little bit. So you see how you have your different variations. And he actually had a little bit of brown. It looked like it was a little bit of burnt sienna. You know, mixed in here. And you will have stuff like that. So I'm actually going to tap in a little bit of burnt sienna just to give me some variation. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to put my highlight back in. All this stuff is going to make sense in a minute when I actually put my clouds in. I mean, my trees in. It's going to make a whole lot of sense to you guys. You'll be able to understand exactly what's going on and why I do it. Right? And I'm going to tap in real light and bright right here. I'm putting a little bit of yellow. And you have that little bits. I'm actually stroking. I'm actually not even tapping at this point. I'm just, you know, brushing upward. Just to give me some variation. Because again, this has to signify and I'm going to tap in a little bit back here. A little bit. Very little. I don't want to tap in a lot back here at all, really. But I'm going to tap in a little bit. Very little. Very little. Alright, now. We happen to have a little bit over here, though. I'm not cleaning off my brush, and I'm going to actually go over here. Kind of tap in a little bit. But I'm going to tap this in nice and soft. Yeah? Because I see a little bit. Yep. So it looks a hot mess right now. But we're still working. Keep working at it. I'm getting a darker green because I actually need to add some darkness. Bring the darkness into the light. Add a little bit of darkness right here to the ends. A little bit of darkness. Okay, so we're looking pretty good. Kind of feeling it. I'm going to tone back some of that We got our shadow in and we're ready to roll. So I think we're kind of ready to put in, I think kind of ready to put in the trees. We have like a low hanging tree right here. I'm actually going to tap in a bunch of shrubbery right now. And since that's further away, I'm actually going to add make that same value again. With a little bit of black, yellow ochre, ultramarine blue. And I'm actually going to take my time and go ahead and cover up this whole like side right here. That's what I'm going to do. Let me bring this down a little bit. Because if you can see in the reference photo, I could always add things later. It has like a gate up there, but I'm not actually going to add that gate in. This is all just going to add extra dimension to this whole thing, yeah? Added extra dimension. And get into my black because I need see, you can see it's a complicated thing, guys. It's not just wham bam thank you ma'am. It's not. You know? It's a whole thing to it. And everything is wet. It is wet, wet, wet. Now there's 3 trees on here I'm going to add, and then that'll be it for now, and then we can go back to it. Okay, so there's 1 tree there, another tree there, and 1 tree there, 1 tree there, and another tree there where you can see there's, I think he painted in like a lady or something like that. So I'm not going to add the lady in. I'm just going to put these 3 trees in and omit everything else, pretty much. I put my life out on it. I'm actually just adding, because again, there's a hill right there. And up under these trees, you're going to see a lot of darkness. So that's what I'm adding at this point, is the darkness. Right? Okay, so let's think about our tree. Let's get the tree in there. Trees up. Where's my brush? Would be quite nice if I had a brush. Now, it's good if you get like a really thin brush for this particular part of the tutorial. I would really recommend that you get a thin brush. You really want something that's going to be thin enough for you to get your trees. Julius, where is my brush?
Brush? The brush is somewhere.
Ay.
Are you finished?
Yes, she's finished though.
So now I'm going on to the trees. I'm gonna get burnt umber, ultramarine blue. I only want a little bit of ultramarine blue as well as a little bit of Diox purple. Cause that'll give me like a darker value. I want something really dark for the base of my trees.
No, she's busy. You gotta wait.
Yeah? Okay, next time we are going to move into the studio so that I can I put my life out on the edge. Yes, that's what we're going to do. We're going to move into the studio so I could be able to see. And you guys could be able to see like on an easel. That would be great, right? But you know, you got to get the information. You make it work. You make it work. Okay, now there was a tree out there, but it was right here, somewhere down the road, right? So I'm gonna put the smaller tree in, going towards the sky and the back road. I'm gonna put that smaller tree in right about here. You see how that's kind of dark, but I'm still gonna put it near here where my shadow is. You see what I'm saying? And I have my angle brush, which will give me somewhat. And this is like I don't even know what type of tree this is. Again, this is the 1800s, so I have no idea what this tree is. Like, and the tree's kind of going straight up and down. But I feel like and of course we want to make this tree a lot smaller than the other tree that's going to be in front of it. So that's why we're starting with that tree. I'm back into my dark mixture. You can't really see the little butt of the tree. And I'm not even going to go actually this far up. I'm actually... Because in the photo, this tree does not look that big. This is the one thing you guys should definitely try to take your time on. And it's good to get a reference photo for trees, since he didn't really give, we can't really see the tree, right? So I don't know where the branches may go. I mean, we can speculate, right? We can figure it out, I guess. Kind of, add our own little thing and speculate. And that's what I feel like I was doing last night. Was doing a lot of speculating and figuring things out. And see, this thing is good because this little angle brush is good because you can get the thin lines as well as thicker lines. Yeah? So,
Wait, please stop smoking. Wait, please stop smoking.
Put it back.
so I'm pretty much just making the tree up. Make it up. It usually has, a few large branches, 2 or 3 large branches by, they usually branch off into twos, and then you get like the thin line all over the place type of thing. So, but since you're not really going to see that, I'm not going to get into too much detail with that one. Now, you have another one that is a larger tree that actually goes... We got another one that actually goes... This is going to be a lonely tree. Now this one actually goes at an angle up against the hill. So try to put it up there. Okay, so this goes at an angle up the hill, and it's like almost... So the base of it is actually... I put my life out on the edge. Sorry, guys. Of course, Murphy's Law. Murphy's Law. And how you seeing this tree, right? There's the big stump. And it's gonna get smaller as it moves up. To the point you can't even see it because it's going upwards and out of the picture. Alrighty then. Alright guys, so we seem to be having technical difficulties. So we're going to end it on that note. I don't know if you guys can hear me, but thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell for all notifications. I will be back with part 2 next week, Tuesday. Yes, we kind of made it to the end, but sorry you couldn't see me put in the trees and do all that jazz, because we was having a lot of technical difficulties today. Hopefully next week will be a whole lot better. So sorry.